You're listening to Intern Justin's podcast.
Justin, let's get going.
Well, or someone else.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't hate Justin. I hated
And
what
then
he was
you
doing.
you know what, Justin? If you want to come, the kind of wheels back up.
The first comment is Revenge of the Sith. Underneath it.
Oh, maybe you're right.
What a fucking asshole.
Could that be it? What a piece of shit.
It is Revenge of the Sith.
I tell you to be here at 6:30. 6 is not early.
I love him, though. I mean, he's like, what are you, a fucking idiot? Just one of my things.
I mean, it was such a jest.
That famous Justin Witt. Intern Justin tweeted that he was the greatest dad of all time. My favorite one was the Justin one.
It was. He did a really good job.
But I say, Justin, baby, you're up. I might need you.
Welcome to the Intern Justin Show. This is Justin and the Minifans, obviously filling in for Mike. Mike is away, as we all know. Kirk threw around the idea of doing this, but on Thursday he decided let's have the kid take care of it. So here I am. A couple things I wanted to say before we get started. I just wanted to mention how much support Mike has, not only from me, but just from the whole community. It's awesome that he's going and, receiving help, dealing with mental health. I know. I mean, everyone deals with things, but it's tough, and it's good on him for going out there and seeking help. So let's get started with the show. So we got a good lineup tonight. We got Steve from Providence, we got R.A. Minahan, we got DEC, John from Scranton, and Kevin from Bristol on tonight. So a good group of OGs. We threw a Mincel in there just for to appease some people. But no, it should be good. So I'm going to bring in Steve from Providence first, and we're going to talk about his week that he had. How's it going, Steve?
I thought he was going to learn how to turn on a toaster. I didn't know he was going for mental health.
You did? Oh, yeah. Well, I mean...
You idiot.
Well...
I guess it's a combination of both, right?
I think it's a combination of both.
Fair enough.
So
what's up, man?
So I wanted to bring you in. I mean, obviously it's a short week. It was only Tuesday through Friday. But Tuesday we got hit with the Mike announcement that he's going to be taking an indefinite leave from the show. We're not sure when he's going to come back. I know he said that there was 2, 4, 6 week programs. I heard some people speculating that it's not going to be until October that he comes back. I have no idea. And then you decided to call in to give your goodbye to Mike. And this kind of snowballed into a whole bunch of different things. It snowballed into Mike being upset, you calling out Twitter accounts on the OG Minifan show, and it culminated in Kirk finding out that you tipped Mike off that there was going to be a stand-up session at the Saco shows, and Mike was pissed about that. Kirk was pissed about that. So I don't know if you wanted to kind of say how you plan on redeeming yourself, if you ever feel like you're going to get your standing back.
No, I'm not worried about the standing, but it sounded, I thought that it was all good after I got done calling into the show because he had no reaction to that whatsoever. And I think he just might have missed it. Him and Steve just missed it. And then obviously when he was on his run, he listens to most of the shows when he goes on his morning run.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly thought it was for something else when that I seen that tweet about a Minifan has created that somebody did something bad. I thought it was for something else. So as far as winning standing back, I don't care about that. I just enjoy the show. So,
What's up? 1 second. Yep, what's up?
Hey, the snail salad's ready for dinner. Do you want some dinner?
Just give it to Dad.
He's not feeling so good, but all right.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm sure the snail salad's not going to kill him.
Fucking... What?
Okay. Okay, what were you saying?
What a shit mother.
Okay, what were you saying? Sorry, it sucks.
You're an idiot. I caught that. You're an idiot.
What are you? Okay,
snail salad for your father? Is that what you just said?
We're having snail salad for dinner tonight, but my dad's not feeling so good. So I don't know if he gives that mine. But how do you plan on redeeming yourself, or
I'm not licking a dog's asshole, Justin.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lick a dog's asshole, but I mean, I would be willing to do something If the show wanted me to do something with Mike, I would do that. But I'm not licking a dog's asshole on my own. Not happening.
Okay, so but you're willing to
Of course I would.
eat some crow? I mean,
Sure,
you kinda...
why not? I did. Listen. I knew I fucked up once I even told him. In the discussion that Mike and I had beforehand, I told him, I says, I'm going to end up getting in some shit for this. And I knew that before I even opened up my mouth. So, yeah, obviously now I got to pay for it, which I'm more than willing to do.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Well, it's not up to anyone here to decide what your punishment or, if you join back in the world. So I'm gonna kick you out.
All right, bud.
I hope you don't tip off
Justin.
the show. Try to just make the show a better place and not make it into your little friend zone where
You're such a douchebag.
you help
Good
people
night,
out.
Justin.
Okay. So I mean that was Steve. I don't know. Doesn't seem like he's too sorry when it comes to it. I mean, I saw there was a YouTube video put up last week of someone who seemed like they were a little bit more apologetic. But let's bring in DEC and RA, and we're going to talk about this week. What's happening, boys?
So far, the show has the feel of here. Where am I on the autism spectrum?
Where are you on the
What?
autism spectrum?
That's what the feel of the show has so far.
I think everyone is a little bit autistic, but that's a conversation for a different day. So what do you guys think of Steve's apology there? Or apology or, his plan for redemption? He pretty much just said, I'm not going to eat a dog's ass, which is, okay. That's somewhere to
I mean, I
start.
think that's a little extreme. My suggestion is he somehow infiltrates blind daycare, fucks Alba or fucks Mike's mom or his dad.
Okay. So he infiltrates blind daycare, and
Yes.
then while in blind daycare, he fucks Mike's mom?
No, I'm saying either or.
Okay.
Those are his options. He's got 3
I'd be
options.
happy to double team Mike's mom with Steve from Providence. I'll help him.
She's probably pretty experienced on that. If you really.
I'm sure you would. So what do you guys think of this whole of Mike? Because this is really the first time Mike's been out, other than the one show DEC filled in, and that's been covered plenty. But this is kind of the first real week where Mike has not been a part of the show.
Not really. I mean,
like when has Mike been out?
I think what DEC is saying is that he's not there at all.
well, I wish I thought of that, but I was thinking of like the first couple weeks, Mike was
in
not
the second
part of the show.
He was in the second show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's been in the second show, and then the Curtatone thing happened.
Yeah, he's like Lou Gehrig or Cal Ripken.
I mean, it was the only times I can think
The
about
Iron
it is like
Blob.
when there was the Murchison episode where
Oh yeah, that's the only
Kirk
other one.
talked about the Murchison's back, but that I really wouldn't consider that kind of like a show. That was more of like a, hey, this is what's going on. There's been updates that Kirk has given, which haven't really been, I consider like in the lore and like in as a genuine show. But this week sounds, they're not taking any steps back. They're not holding anything back with Mike not being there. They're, keep on chugging. It sounds great. I love this week.
I thought Wednesday sounded a little weird, just because it was like their first day, just the two of them, and like the banter was kind of off. But Thursday and Friday were good shows. I definitely enjoyed those better than the Wednesday one. But I mean, they could probably just do this all day without Mike. Hate to say it, but
this was originally what the show was supposed to be. I mean, it was wasn't it supposed to be Steve and Kirk, and then throw in a little
I think what he
MHP,
wanted was a
little
casting
blind Mike,
coach.
blind Mike here and there, and then Mike just latched onto that role and kind of just
yeah,
held onto it.
I'm not looking forward to Carabas next week. I'll say that.
Why?
I don't like him.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Really?
Think about the calls for that. Get your scripts together. Get a plan together. There's so much material with Carabas.
But he's not gonna play along. He's just gonna be like, oh,
even better.
He's just a board. That's all.
No, I don't. I think Carabas will play along. He's not going to be like. He's not
Kirk,
going to be like.
you
Oh
know.
yeah, Verdugo's a Snapchat rapist or anything.
Oh no,
like that.
I know that, but he just doesn't seem like an interesting guy. Like when he's on CCK, like a couple clips I've listened to just from the show, he just doesn't seem like an interesting, knowledgeable person.
You're not giving Kirk enough credit. He can make everybody interesting.
Oh, I know. I mean, he tried to make you interesting, DEC, that one Friday, but that didn't work out too
Enhanced
well.
Kirk on that show. So, it was a 50-50 split there. I'm really looking forward to that show. I think it's going to be
So
great.
am I. So I think Carabas is going to be fun. I don't know if you've ever heard like the back and forth between Carabas and Kirk. They kind of get going. Carabas says he introduced Kirk to podcasting, which is an interesting take.
Obscure,
so, they might go back and forth.
Pete
on
Blackburn's basement or something like that. That's his story.
So yeah, I think that could be an interesting show to.
If he can bottle the energy and charisma he gets talking to Steve Peralt, 50% of that with Kirk, we're going to have a 10-star match here. It's going to be amazing.
I'm sure they're both going to shit all over Steve Peralt and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe they'll take calls about Steve Peralt. It's definitely going to be an interesting show. But I think the two-person dynamic is actually kind of interesting. It kind of like throws a curveball like into the mix. You know, it's been kind of. I think every week the show has been incredible, but this is just kind of given Steve Robinson, like I feel like another step to just kind of become more like if you listen to this past
become more of like a sidekick
compared to what he was. Because if you listen back to those first couple weeks, Steve was brutal. I mean, I think it was the first show or maybe the second show. Kirk burped and Steve's like, "Are we really going to do this? Like, oh, we're really going to burp?" And Steve's like, and Kirk's like, "Yeah." And Steve's like, "Oh, I don't think we should do that." So
yeah, did find his footing.
Yeah, well, look where he came from. You know, he came from Howie Carr, where he'd fill in and talk to 65-year-olds. You know, take calls from them, and you know, just the most uptight person on earth, probably with Howie. And then he comes into a completely new environment where like you're allowed to have fun, and you're kind of like seeing the person that Steve actually is, like how he dreams to be a spaceman and stuff like that. Like that's just fucking random. Like
we wouldn't have gotten the Marty Mush impression, which is one of my new favorite things of all time.
Oh, I love it.
Marty Mush, and it sounds just like that.
It might be the funniest thing the show has ever come from the show. I don't know how he does it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where he.
Is that what he actually sounds like?
Yes.
Really. I've never. To say I've never heard him.
But it doesn't even matter if he really sounds like that. It's just funny to hear Steve do that impression and sound low energy and
where is it? Let me just
But I think we're at a place now where you can't look at last week between the two of them. I don't think the show dropped off. I do think they were finding their way. And if we get a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're going to be firing on all cylinders. I think we're going to be in a position to look back and say, it's good that we're supporting Mike. It's good that Mike's getting his help. I think the show can clearly move on with Mike or without Mike, and we're going to have an amazing program. If you go a year and a half ago, and listen to some of those early episodes when they had guests, it seemed like a total full stop when a guest would come on. They were in Red 13. The audio quality didn't sound good. We're in a place where they have a controlled environment and they have chemistry. Whatever happens on that show, whether Steve is behind the controls, they bring another producer in, it's Dave Cullinane, it's Mark Moroso, the show's going to be great.
I 100% agree. I mean, I think there's one thing that makes the Kirk Minahan
100%,
great, and that's Kirk Minahan.
100%.
I mean, like we said, like doesn't matter who you have in studio. I mean, you look at some of the guests they brought in and some of the interviews he's had. Like I remember he brought in I think it was OJ's lawyer.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
He brought in who's that?
Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
Tommy Dreamer.
Who was the person who said he wanted, or they wanted to like put transphobes and or comedians? In,
it was
concentration
some
camps?
Yeah, some rat. I remember that. It was in like February maybe.
These interviews that
over the winter
should be forgettable are just incredible, and it's really something. It's really just a credit to Kirk and when he says. That's why I think what Steve from Providence did went up his ass so much is because he's like, listen, I had this vision of at the Sacco show, Mike going up there and Mike bombing. So someone who's on the show is going behind his back to tell, or someone who considers himself close to the show and gets inside information goes to someone on the show to try to change the direction that the show was going. Because, like, let's be honest, if Mike went up there and he told like a couple funny jokes, it wouldn't have been half as great as Mike just getting up there and flashing his tits and freaking out.
Yeah, that was a bad look.
What was his punchline? It was
I don't even remember any of his stand-up. I just remember Steve coming on and cracking a couple jokes and the place going wild, and then Steve just leaving.
I'm pretty sure his punchline was like, I wanted to kill myself, but now people love me, so I don't.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's just like, oh yeah. I think Kurt said it's actually pretty touching.
I think it's worse than Mike got a heads up on this. and still didn't do anything. I think that's
I think that's way worse.
Being told, don't drink in Madawaska and getting loaded.
You think that's worse than?
In many ways,
yeah.
and it's a pattern of he's told what to do and he ignores advice or a warning. I mean, think about
That's
that.
just lazy. Like that is super fucking lazy to.
And he didn't do shit.
But also, I'd like to know the context that Steve from Providence said. Like, was this like he called him up and was like, "Listen, stand up is happening. You need to get this shit."
From what I,
or was it like in passing, like, "Hey, you might be ready for some stand up."
From my vague memory, that may have been said in the Twitter thread. Kirk may have mentioned it in the Twitter thread, so Mike actually had access to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, he didn't look at it. And
The way
I guess Steve from Providence just decided to. What?
The way Steve from Providence talked, he probably just called them up and said, "Listen, let's talk 1-to-1. Here's what's coming. Be prepared."
Like, I think that would be bad on Steve. Like, if it wasn't just said in like passing, if they were, texting about, I don't know, Mike's wedding party or whatever. But and he just kind of said, "Hey, you ready for stand up in case he calls you up for soccer?" And it just kind of goes over Mike's head. But I don't know. It's an interesting take. Like, I had no idea stand up was coming. I've never. It's funny when that whole thing happened at Aquaboggan. So the Warthog somehow knew that we were going to ditch Mike at Aquaboggan and record him. So Warthog told Mike about that. So he's going up the taco slide or whatever the fuck it's called. Comes back down. I have all of his stuff. Before this, he's like, "Are you guys going to leave me?" And we're like, "No, like, I'm not going to leave you." And then I'm standing with Alba. She's like, "All right, you guys are going to leave him." And as he walks away, I go, "Yeah, so we're going to leave him." So we just kind of like walked away. And, but it's like, if something's for the show, you can't go around Kirk. You can't go around what the point is.
Yeah, it was definitely a dumb move. I mean, I definitely don't think that was the right thing to do, but I mean, he did it. He's obviously not very repentant about it, but
hey,
I guess that's not the case.
Let's go back to Aquaboggan for a second. Do they have a wave pool there? Because I heard it broke and Alba just stuck her feet in and was just kicking with her feet and she got the wave effect going.
They actually don't have a wave pool there.
Oh, damn.
Those size 19 feet are dancing in Steve from Providence's head, by the way.
Oh,
he was fucking rattled on the OG show.
Someone
fucking
that came
rattled
out of nowhere. Let's just say someone got into Steve's
Holy
head.
shit! He was like, "Yeah, there's a certain Twitter account," and then like, I killed my dad.
Yeah, that was
relax.
I mean, that was like, okay,
take a breather, all right? Like, it's fine.
I think we
it's
should
a
all go
Twitter
around the
account,
room and say one traumatic event that happened to us and whether or not we blame ourselves.
And he was just like, "My life could have been so different." It's like, dude, just shut the fuck up. Like, it's fine. It's not the end of the world.
I don't know. But
that was I didn't realize you made snail salad, Justin. I wasn't aware that you were a chef.
We had it delivered. It's a really fatty salad or whatever.
Oh, really? Yeah, I learned about that.
So, but it's whatever. I'm not that hungry, so my dad's just probably going to eat it tonight. But so
your dad has a history of heart problems.
Yes, but that's not a big deal.
No.
So anyway, so the next topic I wanted to kind of get on, get away from the whole Mike. Like we said, we wish Mike the best. I think I speak for both of you when it comes to this. But on Friday, there was the possibility of the next live show coming up in Pennsylvania in Amishville. What are your thoughts?
I don't like the Amish.
You don't like the Amish?
No. I have a buddy who lives out in Ohio and says he gets stuck behind an Amish carriage about like once a year. He says they don't even move over. Like, they're just assholes.
So that's why you don't like the Amish?
Yeah, pretty much.
Your buddy who lives in Ohio once a year
gets stuck behind carriages. Yeah, they just seem like bad people. Like they'll shame you. They're shysters. I don't even think they're really that committed if they're allowed to. Like the Mennonites I respect. The Mennonites are, they fucking, they're no. They speak high German like assholes. Like, who speaks high German? They're just lousy people. And I think that I think they've got tablets on the inside of their houses. I think they got electricity. I think they're just fakes.
I feel like they do have definitely like a holier than thou attitude.
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of like you use a cell phone? It's like, I'll take your money, but who knows? But I think it'd be fun to go there for a weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any interest in going to Pennsylvania just in general.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got
something against...
I got something against what?
PA?
Pennsylvanians?
In general, yes. I put together a pitch for Steve before coronavirus for Norfolk, Connecticut, which is just off the beaten path. There's a great theater there. There's places to eat. There's places to sleep. And I think, and
Route 7?
What is that?
Is that Route 7? Norfolk out by is that end of the state?
Yes. Route 7.
Yes. Cool.
So it's not up the highway, but there's all the infrastructure there to go. I just don't want to drive that far.
Oh, well, that kind of sucks because that's kind of like the whole point.
What was the name of the town? I didn't even write it down.
I forget it too.
Yeah, exactly.
I was planning on.
Because Amishville's huge. Like the Amish have their own fucking little
community.
It's like no. I'm saying
It's
their range. If they were like an animal, like the Amish's range goes through a couple states.
Yeah, but I mean, I would definitely look forward, especially like this. We're saying, what do you say? October 20th is kind of like.
I thought you said somewhere mid-October.
Yeah, I think
not bad. I'm sure the foliage will be nice.
It would be exciting. I mean, I had a great time at Saco. I think it would. I think they talk about like how many people would show up. I think it would sell out.
I'm sure it would sell out. It's not that far of a drive.
The Minifans just never disappoint when it comes to driving and drive-ins and all that.
Yeah,
other stuff. But it's nice. It's nice to hear them already talking about another live show. Kirk's been back for 2 weeks now, and he's already talking about doing the next live show. I mean, that's kind of what keeps this community together. I think that's what puts it above other podcasts. You don't really see like even Part of My Take. They don't really have like Part of My Take events where people get together and they listen to and they talk about the show, or they have live events. I don't think Big Cat does any live events. I think they might have done one a couple of years ago at the Wilbur.
KFC Radio.
I thought KFC Radio did that.
KFC Radio.
Yep.
But even then, like I don't see like that much. Like I feel like that was more of a show rather than like an event, if that makes sense. Like
audiences.
These things kind of like the Saco thing was a whole event for the entire weekend. It was something where
Saco was a lot of fun. Like it was like tailgating.
Saco was awesome. Saco was incredible.
Yeah, they always find something to do like before the show, and then they have the show. So it's almost like like the pregame, and then you got I guess the actual show itself.
Yeah, but you could just show up and just watch the show if you wanted to. It's like you didn't need to be a part of all the pregame festivities at Saco. You could have just showed up at 6:45 or 7 whenever the show started.
Yeah.
And
same thing with Madawaska.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Madawaska was different because getting there, you had to say a prayer.
We almost died. TJ and I almost fucking died.
I was going to say one of my someone offered me a ride up there in his truck. It was real nice of him, but I had to spend time with my dad, so I couldn't go. But
eating snails.
But so
snail salad.
Anyway,
why do they call it snail salad?
I think there's snails in salad.
I don't think there is.
Oh well.
I think it's just very oily, but I could be wrong. I figured since you made it, you'd be able to explain it a little bit. Okay, I got you.
So let's see. We already covered, the Steve from Providence stuff, Mike's absence, Steve now compared to the Steve then. I don't know if you guys are interested, and I don't know if you saw Dave Portnoy's tweets from today about how you guys know Gaz, dual sales guy. He's watching a couple times. Apparently, so there was this big college football's back today, and so that's huge in the Barstool universe. And Dave Portnoy tweeted out a couple times like, "Hey, you think our lead sales guy at Stool Sales Guy would be awake and helping or doing whatever for the show?" And apparently he wasn't. And he tweeted out like over under on how many times Gaz misses the show, how many times he sleeps in. So I just wanted to know what you guys think the reaction or the punishment will be compared to, let's say if this happened under Kirk. Let's say if Steve Robinson, this is. I mean, I feel like this was huge for Barstool. I think this would be kind of like the equivalent of if Steve slept in for, the Madawaska show and fishing didn't happen until, 1 p.m. I feel like it's a big deal, and I want to see. I think it's interesting how Dave Portnoy is going to react to this. I have the tweets somewhere. Where are they?
Well, while you're looking for the tweets here and bring I can jump in with my opinion. I couldn't give a shit less about Gaz. He does bring something to the table. He's a shit stirrer. He's not really going to get in trouble. There's always a double standard, but I don't care about college football. I don't care about Gaz. And of course, Mike and Steve would be treated differently.
Yeah, I don't care too much about the inner workings of like Barstool, like for itself. Like I consider like the Kirk Minahan show something aside from Barstool. But according to Portnoy himself, with the K Marco situation, the most severe punishment he'll give out is a stern talking to. So that's probably what'll happen to
K Marco. And I mean,
to K Marco, but also K Marco. I mean, K Marco and Gaz are
probably on the same level.
On the same level, but I think what K Marco did, like Zonker's not gonna go after advertisers.
A million times worse. I think the K Marco thing had the foresight to lose the KMS show, in which turn could lose millions of dollars in the future for Barstool.
Oh yeah,
and Penn and all that stuff. But I didn't know if you guys. I think the guys ahead of the guys coming on next half are going to have a little bit more to talk about that. There was also this thing where there's this back scenes producer. He was drinking on the job, and apparently Erica sent him home. And I just didn't know if you guys.
Yeah, Mike. I guess if should have been sent home at Madawaska then.
Yeah, I didn't want to drive back at 10 p.m. or sent back.
Well, who was this guy who was sent home? Was he an on-air guy? Was he support?
I think he was.
And you would think, I'm sure Barstool has a drinking show, right? Like they have to have some kind of.
Well, I mean, there was the whole zillion beers thing.
Yeah. Well, also Portnoy. Portnoy. You don't think Portnoy's ever drank on the job before?
But I think that's different. I think it's a case of Portnoy's on air, the zillion beers guy. This was an on-air thing for charity. This guy appears to be like a producer or something. So if you are drinking on the job, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, because it says.
So now, what if he was drinking high noons and took a photo of it on fucking posted on Twitter or Instagram? Then what?
That's a good question. I mean,
is there a double standard there?
Right here it says, yesterday afternoon I tweeted about drinking an airport beer while traveling for work. I arrived in Dallas to many disappointed texts and tweets and was promptly shipped back to New York an hour later. I missed an important day and cool opportunity and
what's his role? What does he do?
So I think he's behind the scenes, kind of producing and stuff like that.
Okay, so if he's a producer, you can't be drinking. If you're Portnoy and you run the company, you can. It would have been very difficult to stop the Madawaska show and say, "Hey, Mike, start heading home now." That would have ruined things. I think you.
Well, I mean, I think it's different where transportation is probably a lot easier going from Dallas to New York, as crazy as it sounds. But he could have just kicked them out of the place. If I guess I don't know.
I kind of see this as Portnoy kind of taking back his reins. I mean, we kind of talked about how I think the show talked about how Portnoy's kind of been like, "Hey, fuck everyone who didn't have my back this past couple months," and he's kind of going off doing his own day trading thing. I think this is kind of Portnoy reeling people in a little bit, being like, "Hey, this is still a job. This might be the best job in the world. This might be your dream job, but you still got to take this seriously. You can't be going out. You can't be sleeping in, missing these huge, these huge deals we have going on with college football, especially with the whole gambling app being unveiled and released in the next couple days. And you can't just be, drinking on the job or whatever. Or I could be completely seeing into this wrong, and it could just be completely fucked.
Oh, it sounds like he's being a hard ass. That's for sure.
But I think you're seeing this as well as Blind Mike's eyes.
What do you say?
I don't think you're seeing this well. I think this is apples to oranges.
Yeah, maybe I'm not. I mean, who knows? But it's Blind Mike's eyes. Is that because he's blind? That's another thing too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have been saying I think people just have to stop saying I had no idea Mike was this blind until I saw him. It's just kind of the guy's blind.
Well, I think people are taken aback,
It's well, there was this one person who called, and I think it was a Go for Geary a couple weeks ago, and there was Mike, I have this idea for a YouTube show, and you'd be brushing your teeth and you'd fail 3 times at it because you're blind, and then he's not fucking stupid. I mean, he can brush.
Well, that's just a bad idea. They're not all winners, but I don't know. I mean, I don't interact with blind people on a daily basis, so I don't know. When I saw Mike in Madawaska or something like that, and it was he fell down a hill, I was just holy shit! This guy's actually blind. Because I don't know what it's like to be around a blind person. I don't tell you.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So anyway, anything else you guys want to cover before I move on to the next group?
Yeah, why don't we talk about Andy Mayo and his 2 disastrous phone calls this week? I think that's one of the highlights of the week.
Yeah, he's
boarded.
Would you really call them highlights or lowlights? I mean,
As soon
as I hear his voice, it's just and Andy, what are you doing? He's like, I'm
He is
calling in the
very,
show, be a nice
very,
guy. It's like,
very, very worked up about the double standard.
why? But
Which,
why?
if you're honestly like, if you're that worked up about a double standard, like amongst a fan base of a podcast that spent all last week talking about how to wipe, like you might want to take a step back and like figure out your priorities. Like, that's not normal behavior.
I get it, Andy. It's.
And then there's also a thing where like he's just a contrarian, like that's his shtick. He's a troll, like he's just looking for the attention. That's it. That's his whole thing. There's nothing else to him.
Like Andy's never been like terrible to me or anything like that.
Oh no, he's just kind of there, but like I said, he's just a troll. Like
what was the second call he had in what was he calling about?
He wanted to know if Kirk pulls his penis out through the little gap in his underwear, or if he pulls the underwear down.
First of all, if you pull your dick out, if you pull your dick out of that little flap, you're a fucking serial killer. You should just pull your entire,
he's got an ulcerated face, and it bleeds and it oozes. That's where his focus should be. The bleeding and oozing from that face.
It's I don't know. Does he? I don't know. It's just I don't get why people pay attention to this show if they don't like it. It's just move on. Like I don't.
Psychotic.
Justin, the best thing to do is just to ignore him.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know if
I don't even know why I'm talking about him right now.
But he's talking about things that really, who cares? Steve said what? That there was a teacher in Connecticut and they brought up his name, something like that. It's also people have to calm down. This isn't like some fucking secret alt-right Nazi group where it's like I understand some people get the impression that Barstool is this terrible place and Kirk's this terrible guy, but it's like you look into it a little bit and you're just like, oh, okay. It's not like we're this secret clan meeting where it's like everyone needs to remain.
Who are you talking about? What is going on?
What?
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about like how people like need to remain anonymous and how like if I say like, oh, my name's Justin, people will be like, whoa, dude, you gotta like calm down.
What does that have to do with this?
Talking about because didn't Andy call in the first time about Steve saying that guy's name?
Oh yeah, I guess. I don't know.
So. Anything else you want to say on that topic, DEC? I know this has been an exhilarating half an hour.
No, it's been great. You came in with an agenda.
I tried.
We checked off all the boxes. We talked about it. This is actually way more organized than any Minifans I've been on.
Well, I try.
A little bit of legwork.
Anything else you guys want to say?
No.
Anything you want to promote, DEC? Is there any podcast out there for people who like to walk their dogs in Central Park, New York, that might have helped you out, and you just want to give them a shout out?
What are you talking about?
Justin's lost it. Justin, the first 28 minutes were great, and now these last 4 minutes you just got off the rail. I don't know what's going on.
DEC has obscure podcasts.
I don't know what is going on. Should have just quit while you were ahead.
Okay, well I'm quitting. Well, I'm moving on while I'm ahead. So thank you for coming on, DEC. Thank you for coming on, RA.
Yeah, anytime.
I'll talk to you guys later, and we're going to bring on Kevin from Bristol.
Bye for now.
I'll see you guys. Kevin from Bristol? Hello there?
Kevin from Bristol.
John from Scranton.
Closers. We're the closers.
What is happening?
This segment brought to you by Kevin's Penis. Kevin's Penis. Bringing the world joy since 1978.
Nice. How you guys doing? How was your week? How have things been, Kevin?
The world's tired. It's a tiring place. I feel like I've lived many years longer than I have. But, I just glad the show's still around. I'm glad the universe is still chit-chattering back and forth, and the fucking wheel keeps turning, man. I'm happy to be along for the ride. I don't give a shit what happens. It's been amusing, frustrating, fun, all that shit.
Yeah, a little bit of speaking of the last segment we just kind of talked about there, a little controversy between you and Andy Mayo.
I forgot about this already. That's how tiring this place is. I already forgot about that. That was like 2 days ago.
Seems like a month ago.
Your band came out with an album, and you were like, "Hey, if anyone wants to stream it," and then someone's like, "Why can Kevin from Bristol self-promote?" And
Yo, this is a problem I always had with this whole universe is like the anti-self-promotion thing. Like, fuck it, dude. Kevin's the man. Why can't he promote his album? Why can't anyone promote what they're doing if we can all help each other? Like, I get it. Don't go overboard. Like, this isn't Kirk's world for you to make money off of. But like, yo, Kev probably worked his ass off on that album, and every Minifan should give it a listen. Like, that's I love Mayo, but you know what I mean? Like, he's wrong there. That's what I thought.
I think Andy was looking for a just a launching point, just a way to get his message out there that he was upset about something. He used me to launch that message.
Maybe
it's fine, whatever.
Well, he kind of came back into the universe this past week.
Mayo loves doing that. He disappears, but then I think he has like a burner the whole time, and he's still in the world. Like, I don't know. Mayo is a mysterious character. I like it. I think he has good intentions. And somebody said earlier that he's not a fan of the show. I think he is. He's a fan of Kirk and them, but he fucking shit stir, like there's a bunch of them.
John, don't you think Mayo's a bit of a jaded lover? He's like this guy.
I love that.
He wants so bad to be in Kirk's good graces, and Kirk shits on him. And I think he realizes his only role here is going to be a villain, maybe. So it's better to have a role than no role in Andy's eyes.
But there are some people who don't look at him like that. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe to the show, but like he gets to, I don't know. I think he has good intentions when it comes to the show. Like, maybe certain topics he's the bad guy on, but like, I think day to day he's a fan. He listens, you know what I mean? Like, he's a download. So, I think that's him. And he's a caller too. So like he does call in. He tries to give content. He tries to do his part, but like he has been hated by everyone. DC fucking hates him so much.
Yeah, DC's not.
He does not.
Yeah,
it's like
I hate mayonnaise. By the way, I can't fucking stand mayonnaise. Like if there's
really
mayonnaise on a sandwich or
I know a kid
me,
who throws up if it's even near him, man. He just pukes.
Hate mayonnaise.
He hates it. Yeah,
I don't mind mayonnaise on an old fashioned bologna sandwich.
Don't like mayonnaise on anything.
Was that a euphemism?
Why don't we just don't make it up then?
Everything so far in my world is a euphemism. Fuck it.
I think. Go ahead, Kev. I think that fight was like it was Andy kind of projecting. I think a little bit on you.
I feel like not just. I mean, I help write lyrics for the band.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Kobe James from the Ramblers. The band is like they're also Minifans. The drummer is a huge fucking Minifan. There's so much that he got.
Actually, I heard he was such a Minifan that Mike actually took inspiration from him in Madawaska. Is this true?
I took inspiration. He was feeding Mike drinks. The idiot. I'm like,
was he the one who was he the one who was really shit faced?
He was the one who was, we had to basically
I would
drag him through the snow.
I think he bought me a drink at Jack's or not Jack's Abbey at
Justin. He bought everyone a drink, and he drank with everyone. I was like, "You need to pace yourself."
That was the cool thing about Madawaska. Like, I wasn't there, but like hearing about, like, it seems like it was all one big party. Whereas Saco, everyone was split up, but Madawaska seemed like when everybody was doing something, it was all together. Yeah. It seemed like
Madawaska was it was like a retreat. It was what I mean,
it was incredible.
Well, speaking of this new Lewisburg thing that they're doing, like that's like an hour away from me. So like. Justin, you think it will sell? I think it would sell out in a second. It'd be cool to have everybody down in my neck of the woods. Like, I think the Amish people suck though. They suck. Like, it's not cool to hang out with
I'm
Amish.
Sure they suck, like, but isn't that kind of fun? I mean, you know what else?
It is fun. It is fun.
20-degree weather in a blizzard. That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But isn't there like an Amish thing where the Amish girls are allowed to go off and totally go off the rail for like a night?
Yeah,
wouldn't it be cool to be that guy that the Amish girl uses to just get ridden to the ground?
There's a show. It's called Letterkenny. It's a Canadian television show.
Yeah.
And there's a whole episode about this. But like at the end, they get to come back and decide if they're gonna stay with the Amish or go like just be scallavants out in the world.
Amish, if that's true.
Yeah. There's a bunch of Amish shows
where it's like you decide, but the thing is kind of like you're kind of told your entire life, like, hey, this is the way how to do things. This is how it's supposed to be. And then one night they're like, you're gonna make the decision. And I mean, if you're told one thing your entire life, you're probably gonna.
They're crazy though, man. Because like my girlfriend lives up like in farm country. Like if Kirk wants a place to do a show where there's nothing, man. Where she's from, there's one street light in the whole county, man. There's one school for the whole county, and this is a bigger county than Scranton. It's insane. Like but they have now I forget what I was talking about. Oh, they came and built her barn, dude. They show up in a bus at 6 a.m. They pound this whole barn out in a day. They crush cigarettes the whole time. They don't talk to anybody. No technology. They're doing it their old-fashioned Amish way, and then they leave. And it's insane. It's insane.
All I know about the Amish was taught to me through the movie Witness with Harrison Ford. It's all I know. I know nothing about the Amish except for that movie.
Well, what's it called? That bowling movie starts in Scranton, actually.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Gutter.
Kingpin.
No. Kingpin starts in Scranton because they do the Amish, but it starts in Scranton. The first scene says Scranton, Pennsylvania.
I milked your cow. Took a little work, but eventually she got there. We don't have a cow. We have a bull. He has a milk mustache.
But I think that show would be fun. Like, I think people would come down here and listen, like, I drove up to Saco. That was a 6-hour drive for me. So, like, a 4-hour drive was basically, or 5-hour drive was to Boston. So it would be about a 6-hour drive for you guys to get down here. So that's really not that bad. That's like for me to go to Pittsburgh from here. So, like, I mean, that's if you look at it that way, it's not a long drive, 5 hours. Like, you guys went to Madawaska. It was a death trap.
Yeah.
You know,
I could drive. I could pick up Mike at 11.
Yeah.
Right after the show, drive down to do a Mike and the Minifans, kind of like a get together, like we did.
Yeah.
At TJ's buddy's house, somewhere, and
it'd be
6 hours is nothing, especially in October.
Yeah, it'll be beautiful too. All the leaves will be changing around here. Like there's like this 1 or 4 week period around here where everything is just like golden and brown, and that might be right around then, and that would be cool too. But like, I think you made a good point earlier, Justin. I think it's real good to hear that they're like planning these live shows already. I think it's fucking awesome, man. Like if they're that ready to be gung ho about that, like, because all I know is the Saco shows was like one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah,
we had fucking fun there, man. Awesome. Like. We had fun. Like it was fun. I wish I was at Madawaska now even more after Saco. So
yeah,
I'm just looking forward to
Pennsylvania and sleep on John from Scranton's
You
lawn.
can sleep. Yo, I have a big old house full of nothing. So anyone could come here and sleep here, man. It'll be the next Minsell mansion. What's that, Justin?
I think drive-in. I think we're gonna have to get used to drive-in shows. Because I think for the foreseeable future, it's going to be very difficult to secure. Like you said, they called up that place and said they had 120 person capacity, and then they were like, "Oh,"
and then it was down to 60. Yeah,
which is really like.
So that gets dropped as of yesterday. So now we're up to 75%. Okay. So like by that time, we're going to be out of that, and probably where that show is going to be, or where that show is going to be, they're already out of it. So they're a step ahead of like Scranton. So. Ours is going in like steps and colors and shit like that. So like by that time it might be full capacity because out there's nothing.
I'm trying to get in touch with the I've already been in touch with them. I'm trying to get a green light from the Rustic Drive-In in Rhode Island. I'd like to have a Rhode Island based.
That'd be nice.
It's a great drive-in. It's old school. It's fucking awesome.
Speaking of the drive-in stuff, like it's cool because you're seeing a bunch of other people do these drive-in shows now, and it seems like, and I know like maybe Kirk wasn't the first one that did it, but like it's kind of like Kirk really did it first.
I have on good authority that Kirk was actually the first one.
Exactly. Okay, then there we go. We have it on good authority by Justin's word that Kirk was the first show.
But
so I mean,
Justin. Sorry, John. I don't want to lose. Get too far away from this. You guys talked about Mike's absence. I want to say that I surprisingly felt Mike's absence more than I thought I would on the show. I feel like Mike ties the genius of Kirk to the dummies of normal human beings.
Okay.
Like us. I feel like there's a bridge missing when you have awesome. I love Steve. Steve's a brilliant robot. Kirk is a brilliant, sad clown artist, amazing. And then you have Mike, who's somewhere down the totem pole, who can reach down and pull us normal folk into that world. I felt like, the show gets a little blunt, it gets a little cold. Mike's vulnerable and he's confused, and it's like having an in-person laugh track sometimes, which I've grown to enjoy. I didn't think that I would, but I do. I felt Mike's absence more than I ever thought I would. I was like, wow, he is just vulnerable and he's sensitive, and I think the show needs it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I was shocked by the news on Tuesday too. I had no idea what was going. Me and Mike were gonna film something on Monday, I believe, or maybe it was Sunday. We were gonna film something. It was gonna be like a campaign thing, and then he texted me like, "Hey, hold off. I'll let you know." And so I was like, "Oh." I figured maybe he had something to do. We'll do it next weekend. And then Tuesday, I see the announcement on Twitter that there's going to be a live YouTube show. And I was just as hit with the news as anyone else.
Yeah, as everybody else.
And
I mean, I think you get very fragile. I'm sure Mike's lived many years saying to himself, I can barely see, but I can see something. Then all of a sudden there's signs the next stage is coming. fuck, man, fuck that.
In the public eye too, like everybody's telling him, and it's just like we're busting his balls about it. But it's kind of like, yo, I'm going blind. Like it is what it is, man.
I do think when he comes back, I think that he'll be the guy who can just take 40 loads on his back and just smile. I think he'll be fine at some point.
There's those people out there that can do that, and it's like
guys,
roll.
All these jokes, and he laughs, and then once in a while he'll break down and he'll cry, and Kirk laughs, and it's sad and hysterical at the same time.
But here's how I look. Here's how I look at Mike as a vulnerable, stupid person, just like how we're considering Mike. But like that's who I connect with because I'm that kind of person. Like I wouldn't be able to sit in there with Kirk and Steve, like because they're literally another level above me. So like I relate to Mike that way, kind of. So you are right in that asset where the show is missing that. And look at it, it's coming from somebody who does a lot of content for the show and stuff. So
I also feel like I think some people can take that. I could take someone piling me, and I can.
Oh, I am that way. I don't care what the fuck people say, but I'm a trash human being. So you're just piling on.
Thread that ties us to Mike and Mike to the show. I mean, the fact that you can be part of that world and take the beating that Mike takes and still come out winning is usually beautiful. But that went away the last few days, as we saw, and it was sad to see.
But I think the show in general, hearing Steve and Kirk together is fantastic, man. It is they are fucking. I think they are sync. Like I think they do sync.
Yeah. Kirk can take anyone and make them interesting. Kirk can take almost anyone and get stuff out of them.
If they're not interesting, he makes that interesting that they're not interesting.
And Steve is so weird where like what Steve isn't interesting about, Kirk makes really interesting. Like the space story was just fantastic the other day. Like that small stuff, the ants versus ants, that shit doesn't happen without Kirk, but it really doesn't happen without Steve just thinking like, yo, let me tell this story. Let me tell you gotta have in your brain like, yo, tell this story because Kirk
will say, he'll pick things out of the story, and all of a sudden you're expunging on something you didn't realize was interesting.
Exactly, it's what he does with callers. I mean, it's simple to take callers when you don't play along, but like Kirk plays along with everybody. He gives everybody a chance, or you're one of those few that he's not giving a chance from the get go. But
that's funny too because it's so quick.
Yeah, that's funny. There's another thing. Steve has been killing the flushing track.
The flushing and the abortions.
The abortion track.
Huge fan of the abortions.
All my Catholic friends
can't get enough of them. Can't get enough of them.
Yes.
And the Marty Mush thing is, like I said before, I think that might be the funniest thing.
See, I differ with you there. Like, I love that Steve is doing it, but I tweeted this the other day. I was like, do any of you guys actually know what Marty Mush sounds like? Because Steve is really bad at the impression, but that's what's good about it. I saw people tweeting out the other day saying, like, it's just like Mush. And I'm like, no, I don't think it's like Mush is a little different, but like Steve doing the Mush is funny because it's so opposite. Like, Steve is never going to be like Mush. Like,
Steve's not a humorist. When Steve's funny, he's so peculiar and odd and cold. When he's funny, it's like and Kirk just shines that nut.
He does.
He does. It makes it funnier than it should be.
But it's good to see like this whole thing like Mike going away. Good, get your help. Like I didn't really even get to publicly say anything about it, but like go get your help. Everything like that. It's good to see that he's doing it. And I think you're right. I think he's going to come back better than fucking ever, man. I think this might toughen him up. Like, yo, he's going to stick to this. I hope that because it seemed like it was really rattling him lately. Like, and the election thing, like, it's funny because I was on the opposition side. So I was making like hit pieces on him, but like we try to do everything in jest, but like, you know what I mean? It kind of led to that kind of stuff, but like
he was already feeling down.
If what I was doing was hurting you, then there's something going on because I had no intent to hurt you. That's
normally that would not hurt Mike.
And never. And usually it just takes Mike being like, I thought you hated me. And I'm like, no, Mike, I love you. Like, I love you, Mike. But lately it just seemed like things were irking him. So if you got to get that fixed, you got to get that fixed.
I completely disagree. I think lately he was
the last week before the show, I thought he was good, but like I'm talking about the break when there was nothing. I thought Mike was off a little bit.
Well, I just
I think everyone was.
His kind of.
You could see, John, you're right. You could see things were affecting him.
Yeah. And we don't know what's going on in his brain, but like it just seems like it just seems like he was a little off. Like I don't know from what I could see, like it just seemed like he was a little off, but. It's good. Go get your help. You got to do what you got to do.
He's getting,
yeah, that's all. That's all it takes, man.
As far as Steve from Providence goes, I actually, as the call was happening, I knew right away this is a miss. This is a fucking myth,
this is gonna be a fucking myth. I talked to Steve later, like I think before I listened to the show, and I was like, "What's going on?" Because like me and Steve were working together for the campaign, and he was like, "I think something bad is gonna happen." And I'm like, "What are you? You're Steve? Like, Steve, nothing bad happens to Steve from Providence ever. Like, you're Steve from Providence. Like, you're a Marine. Like, you could say whatever you want. No one ever is gonna get mad at you." And he was like, "No, I think something's up. I think I did something wrong." But I mean, it was a little rough of a call, but like they said, it's just what you shouldn't be telling people about that stuff, but it is what it is.
I mean, what happened this week also puts to bed anyone who thinks that
Steve.
the OG Minifans get preferential treatment when it comes to or that Kirk won't go after, certain people or gives people leeway to do things. He shit on Steve.
I don't think he gives OG fans any leeway.
Oh,
I think he's just more involved with the OG fans because he's known you guys long. Like he sees more of your stuff. Like you guys deserve every credit. Did he?
I was what's it called? I was Brandon Walker. I was about to call him Brandon.
Oh,
Walker.
were you?
And he's like, "Give me a chance." What are you talking about?
Did you call back again too?
Yes.
See, you get me because like I never know when it's you. I hated the Brandon Walker call. See, that's one. Well, yeah. I mean, it's you try everything, but that's good. Like you never know. What if it went on and Kirk gave you the chance and I loved it? Like that's why I love you because you try everything. I'm in a thread with a couple of the callers and they're always trying different stuff. You made a good point earlier with the Carabas thing. Like I think they need to take advantage of that. Like callers, think of good ideas for Carabas coming in. Like Carabas is funny, man. Carabas, and I don't know who said it. He said he was kind of like not really a good personality. Carabas is funny. Like he's a huge shtick. Like he's like a hardo baseball guy. Like
I think you can play with him though. I think you can play with him. And that will be.
He takes no shit from any shit talking. He will actually one up your shits. He's good at that.
And you know what I like about Carabas too is that he's a baseball writer in the sense, but he doesn't.
He's a parody of one.
But he doesn't have that baseball writer like I'm better than you. Like you know how Dale Arnold or so and so will be like I've been covering the Bruins for 30 years, so you're
and when like something bad happens to his team, a big thing he does all the time is he has like backup teams, so he will just hardcore cover that team that day. So it's like, oh well, I wasn't talking like if the Red Sox are getting smashed in a game, like he's like covering the Brewers, like you know what I mean? Like he does that. Like he's funny. He's a good guy you could pick on, and I think that'll be a good. I think that'll be a good combo next week with Kirk because Kirk
will do a segment where he like just does ridiculous stupid baseball talk. He'll do like he's
I hope
Kirk will spin it into like this is how I would call a game, and he'll like call an inning of a fake game. Kirk will do something with Carabas that will make Carabas better than he is. Like Kirk does
everybody like he makes all of us, if we're ever interacting with him, interesting. You know what I mean? Like and we're the least interesting person. These are people who work for Barstool. So I mean, give us something, so I'm looking forward to that. I hope there's more Barstool put in that seat while Mike is out, because I think even Mike listening to the episode, because we all know he is from home, will enjoy that. I think he really would.
Hey, I want to, Justin, if I can, I want to just kind of I don't know what the word is. Put a Band-Aid on the wound that was the what someone thought was a Mincel feud with me. I'm fine with people calling me out. I'm fine with people, saying if I'm not funny, I sometimes I'm really not funny. Sometimes I sneak a nugget of shit in there, and I am. But whatever, I'm cool with that. You don't have to be a fan of me. You can love me. You can hate me. All that stuff rolls off me. I felt bad because I thought this band who wants to give to this world, deserved, to be, at least check these guys out, and I thought it was bad timing. Come after me, let the, it's fine. But the whole thing with the Mincels is, for me, I like different blood. I like different ways of thinking. I like having someone who disagrees with me. I don't want everyone to be the same. So I think that the Mincels, the fact that they are, different and they'll come from a different angle, I think is really good and really necessary. The only problem I have with the Mincels is when Kirk hates a guy and says, this guy's, why does this guy just go away? I hate this guy. And
they're usually someone we talk to. It's usually one of our guys.
He's the fan. So, Selena Gomez had a fan. Her name was Yolanda Saldivar or something like that. And we know how that ended.
Here's how I would answer that this way. A lot of the people we interact with are new fans, right? And something will always happen to those people where these fans aren't like you guys, or like I would consider myself, where I can never give up on this show. But these are fans who something triggers them and they're out. They're quick to turn the fucking table on you. So now we're looking at them like, okay, we're still friends with this taguy, but like now the table's turned on the podcast. So now we're looking at this podcast differently. Okay, but there's a group of fans that hate how you're looking at this podcast. Now, how do I look at you? That's kind of, so you see how deep that is. It gets to that point where now I just try to disassociate that. It's just like
I was DMing with like one of these accounts that kind of, is loosely like you've defended in the past. And it's because I saw that someone posted a tweet about how he was having a really tough week and the show kind of brought him back. And he quote tweeted it and was like, "What a fucking pussy!"
Really?
Like this adult's crying. Yeah. And I just
stuff.
I DM'd him. I said, "Why are you the way that you are?" And he's like, "Oh, this person doxed me, blah blah blah." And I was like, "I don't."
There are people that feel that way, though.
So
you have to understand. Like, there are people that hurt people in this world. So, like, there are some outliers that
just,
really have hate against this world.
Like,
it's insane. It's sad. It's sad.
If Justin doesn't like someone, or DC, or me, or Steve. And there's a little war, I think it can brew and it can be something we can kind of have fun with. When Kirk,
it's everybody.
Shoots out someone and knocks somebody out of the world, I feel like we should also back up Kirk because I think he would never do that unless he truly felt someone was,
he's even said before. He said he's like I don't want to talk about this guy.
That's fine, but would you do that to a friend, like somebody that you have grown a relationship to a friend?
Yes.
You would even do it then? Like, even if Kirk told you to be not friends with one of your friends, you would say yes?
100%.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, I have to ask that question. That's the question, really.
That's a long way to go, John. That's
what I'm saying. That's the most extreme. Yeah. That's the most fucking extreme. So if you would say yes to that, then that's the
there are guys that Kirk has excommunicated, like Rich Kelleher. People hate him. I never had a bad interaction with him. With me, he was always a sweetheart.
He's a sweetheart to me. And Justin, I know Justin doesn't like him. Like, there's people. It's person to person with the guys
whose head gets in the way of everything. He just can't not fuck up.
It's actually his birthday the other day, so
it was my birthday. The other day too.
Was it too? Happy birthday, Justin!
Cheers to you.
Cheers, buddy. Yeah. Are you 21? Yeah, you can drink.
I'm like 21.
I think you're 21, right? I have to ask 24. First. I'm that kind of guy. I make sure I ask.
But my point is, in all of this was the Mincels picking me apart. I think it's healthy. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Have disagreements is fucking great. I just thought there were certain guys. When Kirk says, "I hate this guy. This guy shouldn't be a fan." That's when I think we have to be a little more. I don't know. Look a little deeper.
Yeah. Well, Zonker happened recently, and he's a good example. And it's kind of like I never have blocked anybody, but I recently did something that I shouldn't have done to a friend that involved Zonker, right? And it was something that it affected our friendship, like me and that guy, because what Zonker has done to this person. And like, I was to the point where like, now I'm like fucking up my relationships with actual people because of Zonker. Like, so I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. Goodbye. Like, I tried to help as much as I could, but there's only so much you could do until you're actually affecting your friendship.
There's certain guys like that. I feel like all they are is negative.
Against the show.
There is one, but all I see is the guy just trying to stir shit, and it's nasty. Not just I can stir shit and it's fun. You can stir shit, John. You stir shit, it's fun. This guy just seems to me. It seems,
and like the thing is, every interaction, everything I've ever done with this man has been positive. Everything, he's been a nice man to me, but he hates Kirk. And it's getting to the point where now him hating Kirk is affecting people who have also been like that to me in this world. And it's getting in the way, and I can't I have to let go of it. It is what it is. Like Kirk's,
and I meant what I said. I feel like John, like Justin does a shitload of stuff, but it's his role. And maybe someday I think Justin deserves at some point an actual job. If this community grows, you're a guy that I think deserves a spot. John, you'll do anything for anyone. You'll work your ass off. I think you're another guy who has potential to be a creative force in the universe.
I think it's awesome how much I said this the other day. How much side content
you want to please everyone, and you can't do that. It's not,
I know it sucks.
It sucks, and that's noticed.
Yeah, I think like how the show, I said this on our show the other day with DEC, how the show lets fans submit content, be involved in the world, blah, blah, blah. The YouTube, what we're on right now is an example of why this show is worth dying for. Like, they let you be involved, blah, blah, blah. Like, always loved Barstool, but Barstool never let me do what this world has let me do. You know, like,
It's Kirk.
It's Kirk.
I've never wanted
I would
to do.
I would never want to have done
Like,
that.
I was a
And like
Barstool
Kirk made
fan.
me want to do that. Yeah, exactly.
I was a Barstool
Kirk,
fan, but I never until I started listening to Kirk, I was like, I want to get involved in this. I want to help out somehow. I want to, be, because I submitted a couple prank phone calls before I got in.
Oh, really? See, I never did. Like, I was afraid to even like, I'm not smart enough to make a parody account. Like, I'd fuck it up or something like that. Everybody thinks I have 1,000 parody accounts, but I like can't do the parody account thing. But like, even back then, like I was until the elections, I never got involved. Like, I don't know why the elections made me want to just do something because the education. I wanted to be Minister of Education. Yeah. I was going to ask you what kind of Mountain Dew you were drinking earlier.
Flavor. It's Mountain Dew Voodoo, and it's a mystery flavor. It's kind of like a candy flavor. It's actually not that great.
I like I like the kind of guy who picks a mystery flavor. That's my kind.
But it's a limited edition. It's not that great, but I bought a 12-pack of it, so I thought.
If I see you pocketing a white Airhead, then you're my kind of fucking fella.
Yeah.
But
it's a guy who likes surprises.
That's a party.
We're getting up to an hour here, so I don't know if there's anything else. I mean,
Justin, I thought it was pretty funny when your mom came in the room, man.
It was just dinner time.
I would let Steve toss my snail salad anytime.
It couldn't have been a better person on camera when it happened too. Steve from Providence.
And he took it like he should.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I don't know if you guys mentioned this at all. Harry Minahan made his first communion. Decked out,
yes.
Dude, good man.
Sharp as a fucking tack. My question is
fantastic.
It was his first communion. It's a Catholic thing. Was the Godfather there?
No.
Ooh.
That's normally a big deal.
I know, but Kirk said, I'm not going.
Well, the bigger one, so in Catholicism, the bigger one next will be actually his sponsor for his new middle name, because that'll actually be his actual God. I consider that your Godfather, your confirmation. You take somebody's name.
I think Harry's either going to convert to Judaism or maybe a
Hindu.
For real.
He should, man.
He's done. Kirk's done with the.
I'm sticking out of my ass when it comes to this. But
hang out with the Catholics or Adam the Jew. So you gotta pick between them. So or just go with nothing. I would pick that one if I were Kirk.
I'm speaking out of my ass when it comes to this, so I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I think Kirk said a couple weeks ago, someone asked him like, "Hey, has Harry been in contact with what's his name?"
Rob Bradford.
Rob Bradford. And
somebody did.
Yeah, no, they talk all the time. So it's I think it'd be weird if Rob Bradford just showed up and was like, "I know me and Kirk haven't spoken years, but I gotta be here for Harry."
Like in Bronx Tale, that's a Bronx Tale, right? With where what's his name's like Al Pacino, not Al Pacino. Fucking, I'm butchering this. Fuck. Where the father gets real pissed at the other guy. Fuck it. Yeah, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro gets real pissed at the other guy because he's talking to his son. Yeah.
You know my Bronx Tale story. You know the Bronx Tale?
No, I don't know.
I was auditioning for that role. There was a guy in LA,
the kid?
a guy in New York, a guy in Providence, a guy in Boston. I was down to the final like 5 guys for the role.
You know what happened to that kid since then?
Yeah,
fucked up, man. Yeah. Shit, look how you turned out. So thank God, man.
So listen, I every audition I was doing a De Niro impersonation, and I was killing it. I get to the final audition. Like I said, there's like 5 or 6 guys left for this role as Cologito. And the casting agent says, "Listen, drop the impersonation. Just do it straight. They want to see you do it straight." De Niro watched tapes of me acting. It's
really?
As I was 16 years old. And I was doing a De Niro impersonation, and I thought to myself, I got this. I'm so fucking close. And they tell me to drop the impersonation. So I have to listen. So I do it straight. I find out I don't get the role. And the cast director says, "Yeah, the kid in New York did an amazing De Niro impersonation. He booked it." And I was like, "Motherfucker, told me not impersonation."
Yeah, fuck. You was robbed, kid. You was robbed.
Been somebody.
Damn. Well, look at how that kid turned out. Look how we turned out.
Right,
so everything. Butterfly effect. Yeah.
I don't see that kid on Justin and the Minifans.
Yeah, exactly. He's in a gutter somewhere.
But is there anything else you guys want to hit on? I don't know. That topic, the first the first half I thought might be interesting. The whole Barstool punishing and the whole Gaz sleeping in.
Gaz is the funniest, man. He's just like a bum. Like I love how Portnoy just lets him get away with it, and he's a bum. Like I like Portnoy. Like Portnoy takes everything seriously, and like Gaz is his friend from growing, like through his first wife and everything like this. But he's like kind of his longtime friend. But how Portnoy treats Gaz is one of the best relationships in the world because of how much business is involved with it, Justin. So, like, I just love that shit. I love how he has a poll out there right now for it, too.
I feel like those moments where a guy sleeps in, a guy fucks up, those are needed for a show. Those, I mean, you need adversity.
As a guy who sleeps in or oversleeps things all the time, man, like, you just... let it happen. See what? Let's roll with it.
Blind Mike fucked up in Madawaska. We still joke about it.
Exactly.
Half a year later, those things are fuel for the Minifan world fire.
Yeah. You gotta let things flow.
I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to bring up from this week?
No, I think this was a good show. It's nice talking to you, Kev.
Yeah, nice talking to both of you guys. It
was fun. I'm not sure what the plan is going to be for next week. Obviously, if Mike is still on leave and Kirk does not want to do Kirk in the Minifans, I will, of course, love to be back here.
I thought Kirk was going to pop in here and surprise you, Justin. Make sure you were on your toes.
Yeah, I did not think he was going to do that.
You didn't think so? I thought he was. I thought it was a big ploy to get you on with him. He wanted to pop in.
I was fairly confident that was not going to happen.
Yeah, I like how he just ditched Quantum Week Chris.
That's funny.
It was funny.
And you know what? I'm sure Kirk actually loves to talk about Cheers. But at the same time,
probably just fucking.
I bet he doesn't.
He probably just.
I bet he doesn't.
I do think. I
bet
think
he's talked enough about Cheers more than he's ever thought he would talk about Cheers in 2020.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
You give a guy a name like Penis Head Chris, you gotta have some love for him. You have.
Chris is a good dude, man. I love Chris. I love Chris is like, I don't want no fighting. I don't want none of this. Chris is funny, man.
Is Johnny Carson?
Yeah, he's good, man. He's good at his calls. Everything he does is funny, man.
I want to say this. There's a lot of great. Trump is great. A lot of great callers. Fucking, if WEEI hired drunk Greg Hill to do a show, I would listen every goddamn second.
I told the Sopranos guy that he could legit have a cameo. Like, you should have a cameo. Like, you should be making money off this, man. You could talk just like these people.
That's a great idea.
It's like you want anybody from the Sopranos, man. Like, here it is. Like, he gets the dialect down perfectly. Yeah. But
before I get going, I just remembered something that I wanted to bring up. So next Friday, I'm going to be doing another. A couple months ago, I did like a fundraiser for COPS. It's Children of Police Survivors. It was, if you're a cop and you get killed in line of action, I think I raised like $1,500, and it goes towards like their kids. It pays for like mortgages. It pays for college. It pays for all that fun stuff. I'm going to be doing another fundraiser on Friday. I think it's going to be another 24-hour stream. I think I'm going to be streaming Super Mario 64, Super Mario.
Nice, dude. I've been playing it. I've been playing 64.
Well, they're coming out for. Nice. It's coming out.
I'll throw Justin. I'll throw 250. I'll match anyone's 250. So I'm throwing that right. I vow right now.
It's coming out on the Switch on next Friday. Boom. So I think I'm going to be doing a 24-hour.
That'll be fun.
Live stream to try to raise money for the Carol School of the Blind. So.
Yo, I've been making all the noises too, like ha ha, like the jump noises and everything when you jump. I've been doing that too. But, Justin, that'll be fun. So, what was the sponsor again? I'm sorry.
What's the sponsor? Oh,
or not sponsor? To? Who's the charity?
The Carol School of the Blind.
Oh, nice.
So I believe, just something. Give back. We'll see. Maybe even if we raise, $200, it's still.
Well, you already got my $250. Like I said, I'll match up anyone up to $250, buddy.
Hell
so you got me.
So with that, thank you guys for coming out on Justin and the
Thanks for having me.
We'll talk to you next week.